Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter Barber. I'm primarily a professional opera singer, host of the podcast Vocal Arts with Peter Barber, and of course a member of the Bass Gang, which is what today's video is all about. This is the final version of Gaston. I've already made a video recording my reaction to the very first version that I got, and it has come a long way since then. I was going to include that one first and then do this one, but what I'm going to actually do is go through this one, do the full vocal analysis, give you guys the background scoop of how this awesome project came together, and then at the end I will play my initial reaction to what was a very rough draft, essentially. Like, we hadn't even, green screened Marwan in for these parts that you'll see. So we're gonna do that at the end. Guys, show love to the Bass Gang. This is the third installment of our May the Bass Be With You Volume 3. All Disney. I have Gaston, despite being a shithead, has been one of my favorite characters in Disney since I, was a little kid. I think this movie came out in '97, so I was 4 when I first saw Beauty and the Beast, and always been obsessed with big muscles and low voices, and it's probably why I've turned out to be a bass that, lifts weights all the time. But Gaston, of course, is kind of like the epitome of that, like I said, despite being a shithead. And the original Gaston, Richard White, I believe is his name, phenomenal operatic voice, truly exceptional voice. So it was really fun to sing this piece. It was fun to bring out the fully, operatic technique in some parts here. Really cool for me to get to blend those worlds. It's always been a dream come true for me to get to be Gaston and any kind of project, and to do it like this in a really, pretty high level music video was very cool. It was very cool. You can already see if you're looking at the screen recording now, is a very cool set. We recorded in this very old traditional Czech tavern, which is pretty close to the vibe of the 1600s French tavern, where Beauty and the Beast is supposedly set, and the costuming and such. It looks really cool. Let's just do it. Let's run through. And I will, of course, be pausing. And like I said before, I was, involved with this process, so this will not be a first-time viewing. I did see this final version, I did see for the first time just about an hour ago. So it is still fresh, but not totally fresh. But anyway, let's go ahead and check out Gaston.
Who does she think she is? That girl has tangled with the wrong man. No one says no to Gaston.
Darn right.
Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
More beer?
What for? Nothing helps. I'm disgraced.
Okay, let's go back. So, I mentioned in the previous videos, Gaston's just supposed to be fun. It's not big, dark, super bassy bass notes. There are a couple low moments in the background, but it's really supposed to be fun. It's like us just having a good time and getting raucous in this tavern. And that was pretty much what the video shoot was like. It was pretty stressful because we didn't have nearly as much time for this shoot as the other ones, and this was definitely the most complicated shoot, especially when dealing with all the extras. 30 people in this tavern. Drinks, we're using real food, real candles, all the shit. I love this little title screen they put in. So this is me wearing my a black pair of my cowboy boots, which, yeah, of course that's not period, but they're pretty cool looking boots. I love this, walking up and stomping. That right there is just a great image. Cool. Let's go on. This intro, these that little bit I actually added way late. We were done shooting the video. I had already come back from Brno. It was not initially a thing, and it just felt like something was missing from the beginning. I actually have my original arrangement pulled up here just for fun to reference it if I need to. But that intro I added later because I just felt like the intro needed a little something extra. So that wasn't there initially. So Bobby comes in with the lamp, right? We're continuing this trend of having Marwan be, a part of the video. So theoretically, Marwan's still on this lamp. Bobby, of course, was the one that just had snuck out of the cave and be prepared. I said maybe he's thirsty. So he's been traveling through the desert and caves and stuff. He's like, I want to go get a drink. So he's got the lamp here with Marwan inside.
Who does she think she is? That girl has tangled with the wrong man. No one says no to Gaston.
So this is, of course, total voice acting. Very, very difficult to lip sync this kind of thing because it's not all on the beat. It's just like speech patterns. Super difficult. It's the hardest thing to lip sync in a music video. Also, you'll hear like all this chatter happening in the background, which is great. It's like that is actual footage just from the video camera recorded. So that is actually audio taken from the video shoot to kind of give atmosphere, and it happens once again later as well.
Who does she think she is? That girl has tangled with the wrong man. No one says no to Gaston.
Darn right.
Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
More beer?
What for? Nothing helps. I'm disgraced.
So the lip sync went pretty well. It was madness. And the whole time we're shooting, people were just talking and drinking and eating dinner. I mean, it was raucous, and we only really shot for like 4 hours because the tavern booted us pretty hardcore at midnight. I'll just point out some background things in this arrangement. You'll notice it's like a lot of doots, doot, 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 doot. And then at some point I start adding text. I gave Tommy a line that sounds like someone's crying. Wah, 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 wah. Just to mimic, Gaston complaining in the lead. So listen to that. And also the video style, you'll notice how different it is from Be Prepared and even from Arabian Nights that are much more kind of cinematic, especially in Be Prepared. There was stabilizers on everything, all these really smooth shots. Whereas this one, to kind of capture the more raucous mood of this tavern, it's all filmed more freehand, like most movies or shows you watch. If it's just dialogue or interaction with characters, it's someone actually holding the camera, not stabilized. If you have a bigger, more kind of profound shot, there'll be a stabilizer. But it's much more. It's supposed to be less polished in that way, just more natural. The stabilizers kind of take you out of the natural and put you into this really polished thing, whereas this is just people hanging out at a tavern,
Who does she think she is? That girl has tangled with the wrong man. No one says no to Gaston.
Darn right.
Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
I love that line from, I think I gave that line to Marwan. More than I can bear.
Humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
No, that's Tommy.
More beer?
What for? Nothing
That's
helps.
Tommy.
I'm disgraced.
Gaston, you've got to pull yourself together.
Wait, where's
Wrong
where's
man.
Marwan's line?
No one says no to Gaston.
Darn right.
Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
Oh, Marwan later has the so down in the dumps, ooh. that's during Bobby's next bit.
More beer?
What for? Nothing.
In the original, there was a clip of Bobby drinking out of the mug, and we had forgotten to take a barcode off it. So our director, Clara, in the last couple of days went back and found different footage where there is no barcode. Actually, she just removed that little section.
Darn right.
Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
More beer?
What for? Nothing helps. I'm disgraced.
Gaston, you've got to pull yourself together. Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Every guy here'd love to be you, Gaston, even when taking your lumps.
So this song, it's Gaston, but really Gaston doesn't sing much of it. Like, you know, the other three songs, the solo is all Marwan or all Tommy or all Bobby. This one couldn't really do that, but I did give myself some extra solo lines to like try and have a little bit more balance there. But we all, of course, all four got to be soloists here. I'm obviously Gaston, and then the other three guys are essentially playing LeFou. They're all trading off with LeFou's lines. LeFou is Gaston's goofy henchman.
You, Gaston, even when taking your lumps. There's no man in town as admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's awed and inspired by you.
I'm like, LeFou, what are you doing? There's that moment in the live action when LeFou gets like wrapped up in Gaston's arm and he's like, too much? And he's like, yep. That was kind of what we were thinking with this. We were going to do, if we had more time, we could have done a lot more shots. But Bobby and I were planning to do a moment where we like look at each other. We like are like going into kiss and then pull away, or someone breaks us up or something. But we didn't, unfortunately didn't get around to that.
There's no man in town as admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's awed and inspired by you. And it's not very hard to see why.
Tommy's just holding a huge sword. There's a great bit with the sword I'm holding later that I'll point out. See if you recognize the sword before I say anything. The sword that I pull out at the end. I love that picture.
No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon.
All right, so you got to hand it to us. I mean, remember, a week before this trip, Marwan's visa gets rejected. We can't have Marwan. How are we going to get Marwan in the videos? We green screen that mofo into a fucking picture frame. An old-fashioned looking picture frame to have in this tavern. That's genius. And it actually worked out. In the first version you'll see at the end, we hadn't even green screened Marwan in yet, so it's just people holding a frame with a green screen in it. But we filmed his shots of 3 locations around the tavern, and you'll see that later, Marwan coming up in different areas. If you look back here where my cursor is, this is actually a real painting, or not a real painting, it's the real picture frame with a poster of, I'll get the picture and I'll put that here so you guys can see what it looks like, because I don't think you get to see it in the video. It's like I took a picture actually right over here against the wall and then sent that to Clara, our director, and they edited it to like put me in, essentially in a tavern like this, in all of Gaston's clothing. I was wearing like, cowboy shit or something, and they just edited it in. But that's actually a full-size picture frame of me like edited in Gaston's clothing. It's pretty funny. I'll keep that up here, or you will have just seen it here.
No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon.
That's one of my favorite background lines. Ja-na-na, ja-na-na-na-na-na, ja-na-na-na, ja-na-na. I think that's probably Tommy I gave that to, that high part.
No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston, no one's next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon.
All right, before anyone says this song's not bassy, those are some glorious low A's coming in the bass line that happened throughout the whole song. A1, okay, lest we forget, A1 is very, very low. It is rare. It is very rare outside of a cappella and produced music of this to have an A1. I believe it's Bobby on the bass line here, but all three of the guys take over it at some point.
One's quick as Gaston, no
Yes,
one's
Bobby.
next as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon.
You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on.
Tell Team Fur on. So that's obviously a line, well, maybe not obviously. That's a line Gaston does not have in the original that I gave myself to share with Marwan. Again, to just kind of give the Gaston in this version a little bit more solo, so it's more comparative to the other three songs where they sing the entire solo. So that's a line. That's the first line I gave myself, I think, extra.
Perfect, a pure paragon.
You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on.
And again, this is another, it's like the rest of the videos where, you know, some of it's lip sync, some of it's not. You do actually see Tommy and Barber both singing their parts here, and you see Tommy singing his part in the background where he's also, watch the video a bunch of times. There is so much funny shit happening in the background. Like, we really, for the most part, gave the extras like free reign to just do what they wanted to do in the background. A lot of it's natural. A lot of it is literally just people hanging out in a tavern, and it looks so good, and the costumes look so good. Like, it's just so legit. And this looks like this. I'm very happy with how this turned out. Also, that background you see Marwan in front of is the same background you would have seen in the picture that I was in. So they put Marwan on that. It's great. I feel like I'm going to be I'm already catching new things going back and like watching this, listening and watching for different things. Like when you're getting the final product, you just want to make sure like the lip syncing is right, the coloring's right, like all the big things. But you're not really paying attention to what the extras are doing because it's not important for it to be a final product. But they're doing such funny shit the whole time.
You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley,
Just dancing.
and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on.
No one's been like Gaston, a kingpin like Gaston. No one's got a swell cleft in his chin like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating.
I want a guy like Gaston.
Gaston. So what you'll notice, a couple things I did to change this for me is to make it bass gangy. I gave myself some extra solos, and I took a few of the solos an octave down. Still singing them fully operatically, but an octave down. The original singer, very much a baritone, like sounds like a dramatic baritone. So, you know, bass gang, I figure if I can sing some of the stuff an octave down clearly and still maintain a lot of power and resonance and vibrato, why not do that? So I did that for some of these lines. Also, this is one of my favorite shots of the video is Tommy, this really long shot of Tommy coming all the way over to me and like scratching my chin, and then I'm just like a la The Office. I'm like, and I just look straight at the camera. Really, really funny bit.
No one's been like Gaston, a kingpin like Gaston. No one's got a swell cleft in his chin like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm
Intimidating. Also, the vocal shouts you hear, no one's big like a kingpin. That is a combination of, who did all these vocal shouts? I don't remember if mine are still in there, but for sure, Tommy, Bobby, Marwan, Tommy's girlfriend, Casper, Manav, and Bobby's girlfriend, Jay, are all doing those vocal shouts. And it just added so much. Those are another one I went back in and added a bit later. It adds so much to the piece to have people like shouting along. And we were hurting for people to do it. We needed more female voices. And Bobby's girlfriend, Jay, really came in clutch at the end. She did like 9 takes of all the vocal shouts, which really balanced out like how many dude voices we had and female voices. And so now it just sounds phenomenal. It just sounds like the whole tavern is hooting and hollering. So keep an ear out for those.
They'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on.
And we did get the extras for some of the main ones to mouth along to it. So it looks like the people in the scene are actually singing it. These extras, like, a lot of them don't have, like, musical background. Some of them are, I think, like, LARPers that came in. Just phenomenal. They were so wonderful. And they were so just, like, yes and. I was like, all right, now here you're going to shout this and this. Some of them don't even speak, like, very much English, and they just caught on and they did it, and it turned out so well.
No one's been like Gaston, been like Gaston. No one's got a swell lifted a chin like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating.
I want a guy like Gaston.
Guy like Gaston. Also, you'll notice at points like there's pretty obvious sweat happening on me and sometimes Bobby. It was hot in this tavern. If you look up here in the top left, that is an AC unit covered in fur. But for a while, we were worried about people seeing the unit, and so we had the fur completely over where the air was blowing out. So we weren't getting any AC, and this is August in the Czech Republic. It is hot. And we were schwitzing big time for the first like half of the shoot until we changed that. So you'll see me glistening from time to time, depending on when we got the takes.
Got a swell lifted a chin like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating.
I want a guy like Gaston. Give 5 hurrahs, give 12 hip hips.
And yes, I am the best, and the rest is all drips. No.
That's another line I gave myself. Yes, I am the best, and the rest is all drips. Normally, Gaston doesn't sing that line. A part about this bit after we stop there. This is a mistake I made in the arrangement, because sometimes when you're arranging, you'll allow more space in a moment. You'll like a fermata or just more space to give it instead of having to like expand. Sometimes it's easier to just slide things a bit closer. I don't know. It's what I did with this arrangement. So after this next part, rest is the rest and the rest is all drips, I left a really long break. Too long. And it's still that way in the streaming services. Fortunately, Ed Boy, our amazing mixing engineer, gave like the right kind of reverb and atmosphere so it kind of tails off until the next bit starts. For the video, it was just like a half second too awkwardly long. So one of my notes to Clara was we just need, and we got on a call about this to find out just how much we needed to cut out. But we actually shortened that break. So the laughing after the cheers goes more naturally into the next verse. The first version, which you'll see at the end, it was just a little bit too long, but it's kind of shocking how awkward something can be if it's just a little bit too long. So it works much better now. We kind of laugh our way into the next verse, but you'll see at the end this awkward amount of time that I'm talking about.
Give 5 hurrahs, give 12 hip hips.
And yes, I am the best, and the rest is all drips.
Boom, right into the next one.
Fights like Gaston, houses lights like Gaston. In a wrestling match, nobody fights like Gaston.
So this whole video, this whole song is just moments. It's just bits talking about all these things that Gaston does. And so we shot it very much moment by moment and then like pieced it together later. And we had to go through and be like, okay, are we missing anything? We did miss like one or two that we kind of filled in with more like stock footage. I did actually put that fire out with my fingers a bunch of times to get that shot. We had some where it was just, you could just zoom in, it was just my hand putting out the fire, but we liked the one where I get up, punch the guy, and then put out the fire all in one take, which I think is how they did it in the live action. But this whole thing is just bits. It's just, we just shoot bits and piece them together, and it's just, so it's just constant fun. It's just so fun. Like, it's just like, I was just like smiling ear to ear watching this, because I'm just like, this is just so rowdy and fun.
All trips.
No one fights like Gaston, houses like...
That punch actually looks really good too. that guy was just like, yeah, dude, you want to punch me? Yeah, you punch me in the stomach, I'll fall over, I'll fall on the table. He was like all about it.
No one fights like Gaston, houses lights like Gaston. In a wrestling match, nobody fights like Gaston.
There was a lot of chat. We were trying to figure out how to do the bites moment, because in the cartoon, he goes in and really like, you can bite. You can really bite someone. And in the live action, they like show a bite mark on LeFou's stomach. So for this one, we're just like, how can we do this and make it reasonable? We had the idea of me like biting an apple, or going in to bite like something metal and then showing a chunk out of it, like something absurd that no one could actually bite through. And we ended up with this one, which was me going in to snap on Bobby's arm and then going up to Bobby's face. Worked out really well.
No wrestling match, nobody fights like Gaston.
There's no one as burly or brawny.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Maybe my favorite line in the whole song, and I remember having such a blast recording that too, is the very girly line that of course Tommy is singing, which makes it even funnier. But he's singing it kind of gossiping with the ladies around him.
There's no one as burly or brawny.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Not a bit.
Yeah, he does. All these hilarious vocal shouts.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny.
That's right. And every...
So that was a moment we forgot to do something for, but also it kind of works because it's not one of the main moments, but not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny. Fortunately, we did a few shots of just like me sitting in the chair going through the whole song and people just like interacting with me, so we had some stock footage to throw in there.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny.
That's right. And every last inch of me's
Every last inch of him.
Every last inch of me's covered with hair.
If you're wondering about the color on my chest, I was actually slightly sunburned, apparently. We're seeing that in the edit. I was like, Clara, why is my chest like two different colors? And I was like, oh, I was just sunburned. So you get a nice white chest and a nice red neck. I think that all the red clothing possibly could be accenting the red too, a little bit, the glare off it. We initially had a take of just my arm and Tommy like looking at it, but we went back and looked at this take and we really liked it, just like the more like storytelling part.
Biceps to spare.
Not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny.
That's right. And every last inch of me's
Every last inch of him.
Every last inch of me's covered with hair.
Oh my God, he's so hot.
That's my favorite vocals. Oh my God, he's so hot. So funny. We're laughing my ass off when I got all of Jay's vocal tapes, because she did a bunch of different ways, and one of them she's just like screaming. She's like, oh my God, it's so hot. It's like so funny. This part, of course, I added in. And every last inch of him? I just thought that would be funny. So it's like they interrupt him. They're so shocked at what he's about to say, they interrupt him, and then he finishes the statement. Also, there is some good bass here in the bass line. I think A flats to G in the bass line here.
Him scraggly or scrawny.
That's right. And every last inch of me's
Every last inch of him.
Every last inch of me's covered with hair.
hear that bass line, it goes down to that G1. So that's the lowest bit in the song there. But A flats and G1s, that's low, baby. That's low bass, and I think it's all the guys except for me doing it. I mean, I did it for the demo, but I didn't do any parts except Gaston in the actual final version.
Every last inch of me's covered with hair.
No one hits like Gaston, matches wits like Gaston. In a spitting match, nobody spits like Gaston.
I'm especially good at expectorating. Tui!
10 points for Gaston.
Everyone's like, ew, dude, don't spit on me. This is another setting for Marwan, right? So this is where the actual painting I pointed at earlier is with me on the wall, that we swapped it out and put Marwan in. But this is the third location that we've now seen Marwan in. And we initially had it, Bobby did this whole take, and then we went back and we're like, well, we should get Marwan in more of the video if we can. That was a big jump from the first version to this version, is just finding more spots where we can put Marwan in and make it work.
Oh my God, it's so hot. No one hits like Gaston, matches.
This is all real food. We ordered, I think it was called like the King's Feast or something, and it was like hundreds of dollars worth of just meat. Just like plates and plates of meat, like full chickens and sausages. And we got to eat it. We got to eat all the meat and drink all the beer, the whole tavern, and by God, we went for it.
No one hits like Gaston, matches wits like Gaston. In a spitting match, nobody spits like Gaston.
I'm especially good at expectorating. Tui!
So that's a high E. And I sing it wide open, like more like musical theater style. If I were singing an on a high E vowel in opera, I would absolutely be what's called covering it or turning it as a way to navigate through that secondo passaggio. For this piece, I was like, I'm just going to kind of holler it because it's more fitting. And I tried singing it with like the nice operatic cover, and it just didn't come across as well. It didn't come off raucous enough. So I really just holler this line. Open E vowel, for a bass, you're always going to cover on a high E. You'd be crazy not to. That's baritone shit not to cover on a high E on that vowel.
Good at expectorating.
Came out well.
10 points for Gaston.
When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large. And
That's my favorite vocal shout. The he's huge. And this is just like a meme in the lifting community that I put in this piece. It's like huge, especially huge spelled Hyooge. Like, he's huge, dude. He's fucking huge, dude. Always done in like a weird like Boston or Jersey accent. So I'm talking about how I got big, right? Eating the 4 dozen eggs, then the 5 little basket of eggs, big basket of eggs. Awesome. Love it. And they're like, he's huge. That was another one. One of Jay's takes was just a scream, and I remember just laughing when I first heard it.
Tui!
10 points for Gaston.
When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large. And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs, so I'm roughly the size of a barge.
Well, that was loud.
A joke on opera being just outrageously loud. Oh, that's a great. I'll have to screenshot that. So I was recovering from sickness for this, so my voice was like pretty just out of it most of the trip. Just like I didn't have it. It was starting to come back by this shoot, and there were, I think, a couple times when I sang this line, I actually opened it up and sang it, and people were like, "What the fuck just came out of your mouth?" Just like. And in that tavern too, it really resonated off those like stone walls. It's always funny to see people's reactions to hearing like a real operatic voice up close in a small space for the first time, because it really is otherworldly. I cannot recommend it enough. So like I did sing those lines out a couple times and people were just like, what the hell? Like, are you kidding me? Good stuff.
When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large. And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs, so I'm roughly the size of a boat.
Well, that was loud.
No one shoots like Gaston, makes those feuds like Gaston, then goes tromping around wearing boots like
that sequence is just all time. We're like, how are we gonna do this shooting one? We originally were thinking about like getting an old school gun and shooting it and having like an explosion CGI effect, or shooting a beer mug and having it explode. Couldn't do any of that, so we're like, how do we do this? And it just worked out perfectly. It's just like aim at the camera jerks away, and then we're off to another cut. So good. I love this like sequence of bits where it's shooting at the camera, blowing the kiss and making all the girls faint, and then tromping around wearing boots and then stomping on the table, which you actually saw right at the very beginning as well.
Well, that was loud.
no one
People just dancing in the background.
shoots like Gaston, makes those feuds like Gaston, then goes tromping around wearing boots like Gaston.
I use antlers in all of my decorating.
Antlers and all my decorating. Again, one we weren't sure how to deal. We didn't do anything specific for it, so that was thankfully more kind of stock, one of those stock takes we did that looks really nice. And as far as antlers, we were looking into like renting or probably buying like a big set of antlers. They're like $500 at least to get ones that like would look cool and to like hang them on the walls. We're like, that's just, we have extended to the end of our budget. We can't buy $500 antlers for this shoot. And it works. It totally works.
Then goes tromping around wearing boots like Gaston.
I use antlers in all of my decorating.
Say it again,
Who's a man among men?
and then say it once more.
Who's that hero next door?
Who's a super success? Don't you know? Can't you guess? Ask my fans and my pot hangers on. There's just one guy in town who's got all of it down.
That's a covered version on of that high E. You can hear it's like more spacey and kind of domey. Operatic high E there. This whole sequence we had just like walking from the very back of the room all the way up to the front. Really cool take, and it's great that Clara went back and cut it up so it's not just us walking the whole time, but that's like the meat of this final shot. What else was I gonna say?
Decorating.
Say it again,
Who's a man among men?
and then say it once more.
Who's that hero?
Look at the sword. Do you recognize it? Do you recognize it?
Next door.
Who's a super success? Don't you know? Can't you guess? Ask my fans and my pot hangers on. There's just one guy.
These are more lines that I've given myself. Normally Gaston doesn't sing any of this, but I think it's much better that he does in this version. Otherwise, it's me just walking and everyone else singing. I actually get to sing more as well. Again, trying to balance it out compared to the rest of the album.
A man among men.
And then say it once more.
Who's that hero next door?
Who's a super success? Don't you know? Can't you guess? Ask my fans and my pot hangers on. There's just one guy in town who's got all of it down.
And I love how we did this shot where it's me, Bobby, Tommy at the back, and then as we walk by, everyone joins in, and it becomes the big crowd. This part you're about to hear, you probably haven't heard before, because it's not in the movie. It's kind of it's in the live action done a slightly different way, so they took that, but it is in the original soundtrack. This part where LeFou is trying to spell Gaston and can't, but it's not in the actual movie of the original Disney. But this is exactly how it is in the original soundtrack. It's not the way they do it in the live action.
Guy in town who's got all of it down.
And his name's
I love this shot of the three of us. That's so good.
G-A-S-T-E.
I'm like, what the fuck?
G-S-T-O.
Gaston.
Yay! And some nice low C's at the end. This sword, have you figured out what it is yet? Same sword. Anduril, Aragorn's King of the West sword from Lord of the Rings. They just had a replica of it to use. So I am wielding Aragorn's sword, which is my tattoo. Very cool little Easter egg there. Full size too. I mean, I'm standing. So that sword is like probably 5 feet, almost 5 feet tall. It's a big ass sword. Big two-handed beast of a sword. Let's just run this back and watch this final section again. Actually, I want to go back even further. I love this part. And then we'll wrap it up.
Well, that was loud.
No one shoots like Gaston, makes those feuds like Gaston, then goes tromping around wearing boots like Gaston.
I use antlers in all of my decorating.
Say it again.
Who's a man among men?
And then say it once more.
Who's that hero next door?
Who's a super success? Don't you know? Can't you guess?
Oh, wait, I gave Tommy the hardest line. This hard tenor line. I gave myself it, too, in the recording. I wouldn't dare try to do it right now. It just jumps all over the place to kind of fill in what notes need filling and kind of highlight the weird chord structure that is in this song. Actually, very complicated song harmonically. It sounds like, just like swashbuckling fun, but there's like crazy-ass Disney chromaticism. Alan Menken, genius. Pretty complicated. So Tommy he just bared that whole burden on this tenor line here.
Who's that hero next door?
Who's a super success? Don't you know? Can't you guess? Ask my fans and
Brutal.
my pot hangers on. There's just one guy in town who's got all of it down.
And his name's
G-A-S-T-E.
Gaston.
The final shot. So it's everyone. They came down, and during that last bit, they all like were climbing up on tables too. Epic, mate. Fucking epic.
Gaston.
And this is the karaoke.
Fights. Houses lights.
You know wrestling much more.
For there's no one as pretty and
You can get your own karaoke track for Gaston on the Bass Gang Patreon. Guys, thanks for watching. What a joy, what a dream come true to get to be Gaston for a night. And so happy with the final video. You're about to see how far it's come. You're about to see how far it's come. Originally, poor Clara, her computer was just lagging, so she could not edit like seamlessly. It was like everything was lagging, and it was just a lot of guesswork just to get the version out. She eventually like cleared out a bunch of shit off her computer and cleared out unnecessary like proxy files and whatever to make her program run smoothly. But so in this next version you're about to see, there's like a lot of lip sync issues. There's a lot of weird coloring. Marwan's not in the green screen. It's like very much a rough draft, but I think you guys are going to enjoy watching it anyway to see how far it's come, right? Ooh, here we go. Gaston, about to crank this up and see what the amazing Clara has done with this amazing Disney classic. Here we go.
does she think she is? That girl has tangled with the wrong man. No one says no to Gaston.
Darn right.
Dismissed, rejected, publicly humiliated. Why, it's more than I can bear.
More beer?
What for? Nothing helps. I'm disgraced.
Gaston, you've got to pull yourself together. Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Every guy here'd love to be you, Gaston, even when taking your lumps. There's no man in town as admired as you. You're everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's awed and inspired by you. And it's not very hard to see why.
No one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston,
Okay.
no one's neck's as incredibly thick as Gaston, for there's no man in town half as manly. Perfect, a pure paragon.
You can ask any Tom, Dick, or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on.
No
Sweaty up in there.
one's been like Gaston, a kingpin like Gaston. No one's got a slow lifted his chin like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, I'm intimidating.
I want a guy like Gaston. Give 5 hurrahs, give 12 hip hips.
And yes, I am the best, and the rest is all trips.
No one fights like Gaston, houses lights like Gaston. In a wrestling match, nobody fights like Gaston.
There's no one as brilliant and brawny.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Not a bit of him scraggly or scrawny.
That's right, and every last inch of me's
Every last inch of him.
every last inch of me's covered with hair.
No one hits like Gaston, matches splits like Gaston. In a spitting match, nobody spits like Gaston.
I'm especially good at expectorating. Twee!
10 points for Gaston.
When I was a lad, I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large. And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs, so I'm roughly the size of a barge.
No one shoots like Gaston, makes those feuds like Gaston, then goes tromping around wearing boots like Gaston.
I use antlers in all of my decorating.
Say it again,
Who's a man among men?
and then say it once more.
Who's a super success? Don't you know? Can't you guess? Ask my fans and my pot hangers on. There's just one guy in town who's got all of it down.
And his name's Gaston.
So fun. So like, you know, obviously a rough cut, but very cool to see for the first time. And you know, this one, unlike the other ones, both arrangement wise and just like vibe wise, isn't supposed to be kind of like the shock value bass gang stuff you're used to. This one, the whole time we're doing this process for the third album, it's supposed to be like the fun one. Like this one and Friend Like Me are both very fun. They're much more lighthearted compared to Arabian Nights, and definitely compared to Be Prepared. So it's kind of a cool jump going from Be Prepared to this, but super fun. A lot of the bits are really good. They're really funny. I think they're going to work. Everything just kind of needs to be tightened up, which is what I was expecting, as this is the first cut. And guys, the next thing you see, which for me will probably be about a week from now, but for you guys will be in about 30 seconds, will be me breaking down the final version and maybe pointing out, you know, some differences I noticed between here. Like Marwan's not in the green screen yet. There's a lot of lip sync things. There's color things. There's all sorts of stuff that's going to be probably it might be radically different, the final. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Join my Patreon. Join the Bass Gang Patreon. And get ready for Friend Like Me, which is our 4th and final installment of this album. I'll see you next Monday. Peace.